Good evening, this is Brittany Coleman, and this is my presentation on managerial leadership. This course has taught me so very much about what a good leader, an effective leader is, what it means to be, all encompassing, working with followers to address their needs, their wants, as well as their desires and getting them to where they need to be professionally. This course has provided me with great insight as the importance of being a follower and how much power followers have, and the fact that the follower's consent is essential in order for a leader to be effective. And that is a very much a 50-50 relationship where the leader is only a leader through their influence with the follower or their followers. The first topic that we address is how do you differentiate management from leadership in your life? Well, initially, I was of the mindset that management was leadership. But as I've grown and really learned more about this course, I now understand that management is only a subsection, is part of leadership, but it is not leadership. Leadership is so much more, and that there's so many people that have the ability to be effective leaders that may not have the management title. Um, and I think that is where I've changed in my mindset that management, while it is part of leadership, it is not all of leadership, and that a leader does not have to be necessarily a manager in order for them to be effective. And that's, even a follower can be a leader and possess those qualities, the traits and the approach of how they address others and how they engage and influence others makes someone a leader versus their title. The second topic is explain what theoretical construct resonate with me and why. And for me, I would have to say that, and for me, is path goal theory. I find that this particular, construct is for me essential in how I approach leadership. As this slide indicates, there's transformational leadership, there's transactional leadership. Even though I like to say that a combination of the two is always, best, I definitely find that transformational leadership works best for me. I want to be with someone that is going to inspire me, that motivates me, that, has intellectual capacity to stimulate me and ask those questions to get me thinking. Because ultimately, I want them to motivate me to become a leader. And for me, it's not all about, the reward and the transaction of getting something in return. I am getting something essentially as a transformational relationship with my supervisor or leader. Um, and having that ability to work, in either direct capacity, participative, um, and really have, be able to communicate with them and work with them and then address things where I'm doing wrong and motivate me to continuously do things in a manner that works best for us to get the task accomplished, but also for me to grow. So that for me is essential in how I view this theoretical construct as so important because it resonated with me only because I felt as if that's how I want to lead, essentially. I want to be the leader that works closely with her followers and motivates them and, influence them to get where they need to go, but while accomplishing the task. So working with them collectively to essentially focus on the task, but addressing the issues or insecurities that they may have in the process and really allow them to grow and develop as followers, but also promote them into leadership roles and move in that direction as well. The next slide is really based on where followership factors into my leadership philosophy. And as you see from the slide, ultimately, I want to be a good leader. That is my goal ultimately. And I really think the leadership exchange theory really works best because I think what it delivers is the ideal and the approach of really approaching followers as counterparts, that they have an equal, they're equally invested in the success of the organization and the task and the group. And when you approach it in that manner and approach them as a member of the team, then they are more susceptible to be supportive and work with you because they see that you're, essentially going to bat for them. You're moving with them as a team member. You're not seeing them as a subordinate. You're not seeing them as beneath you, but you're seeing them as someone that is equally important to the success of the team and the goal and the mission. So for me, I find that the leader, leader, the theory of being a leader is essential when you're working with different people, and the leader follower exchange is essential for making sure that that relationship grows and you're fostering a good relationship with someone that is essential to build your team. Because a follower, if you're not working closely with them, they have the ability to either build you up or tear you down. And I definitely want to be a good leader where I'm working with them to build them up and they work with me and build me up as well. The next slide suggests how have my views changed on leadership, and I would say that my views have changed drastically. Initially, as I mentioned before, I thought that leadership went hand in hand with management, and that one couldn't be without the other. That in order for you to be a leader, you had to hold some type of title, like you had to be a manager of some sort. And now I think that that's changed. I was recently interviewing while taking this course, and my whole mindset changed when I went into the interview because I no longer saw myself as someone that was in need. Even though I'm a recruiter and that's my job on daily, I was able to approach it from a different mindset that it's like this is how my candidates feel. When they're interviewing for a position, that they don't feel like leaders, that they don't feel like they have an equal stake in the deciding process, and that they are equally as valuable because the reason why the position is open is because they have a need. And so even though you're in a state where you may potentially be following someone, be a follower, you are very much still a leader. And I think that is something that I've taken away from this course and has changed, that even though I'm following, I'm still a leader. And I think you're capable of being both. And it's not, one is exclusive of the other, that you can still be an effective follower because you are capable of being a leader as well. And so really just having the ability to communicate that. When I went those interviews, I was able to actually articulate, what my needs are essentially as a follower and what I'm looking for in a leader. And based on like their managerial style, how they communicated with their staff, how they communicated with me, how I felt in the midst of being with them. Did I feel like it was going to be even exchange if this was to move forward? And in many instances, I did not feel that. So with that, I left it feeling very confident in myself and my ability, knowing that leaving this, I felt that it wasn't a good fit, and I can walk out the door with my head high, know that I made a good decision not to move forward with that company. And so I think with that, my whole, not getting the job wasn't a bad thing at this point. It was a life-saving because I could have been with a horrible company and, making a lot less money, and not really enjoying what I do. So I think that that mindset has changed. And with that, the last slide, where do you see yourself leading in the future? In the future, I foresee myself working and being a leader in multiple regards. Being a leader professionally as well as personally. Being a leader within the workplace where I am working closely following others as well as leading others in a managerial with a managerial title, and moving within the industry and working closely with my peers in the staffing industry, to really educate clients on how how they function, like how candidates and employees, how they're viewed, and really implementing what we've learned in this course about leadership and taking that and educating clients on how to approach, this leadership follower, belief, and empowering employees to say, hey, you are leaders, you are important, make sure that you're getting what you're needing out of the relationship, and not being afraid to have those conversations with your supervisor and say, hey, in order for this to be successful, these are the things I need. And so really empowering people, because it is empowering to know that you are involved and important in the leadership aspect of the growth of the organization. And so working not only within my company, but also working in the industry to really advance that and being a leader within that regard. Personally, definitely, leading the household, co-leading the family. I think that is essential where I want to be, in addition to professionally growing, but also leading within the community and working to empower individuals and grow within that regard and assist in the development of the Atlanta community through organizations that I'm really proud of, such as Alpha Omicron Pi Fraternity for Women, then Kate's Club, and then Junior League of Atlanta, and then I'm sure there's many that I haven't named, but just being involved in those organizations and really empowering Atlanta and the youth to be involved and committed to the community. So I really thank you so much for a wonderful semester. If there is anything that is needed, please feel free to let me know. And that concludes my presentation.